I am back to the long-awaited Scream 3 video. I have already done Scream 1 and Scream 2. If you haven't seen those yet, they will be somewhere on the screen, or like probably in the same playlist as this video. But anyway, yes, we do not, incredible news, we do not have a tier ranking video this week, guys. Hallelujah. I say this, the video after this is going to be a Doctor Who companion tier list. So, I am definitely going to do one of these videos about Scream 4 as well, because... Can you see it? Just about. Oh, it's cut off. Ooh. The original Scream and Scream 4 are my favourite Scream movies out of the entire franchise. I said in my first video I did about the original Scream, which was I'm a huge Wes Craven fan. I love the Wes Craven Screams. I'm probably not going to do one of these videos about the other Scream movies because, as I said, I'm a huge Wes Craven fan. To me, the Wes Craven Screams are it, in my opinion. So I don't think I'm going to do one of these videos about the other movies in the Scream franchise if they weren't made by Wes Craven, because I don't really... Yeah, I prefer Wes, like Wes is my favourite. I prefer Wes Scream movies, and that's fine, everyone's allowed an opinion. But anyway, I did come to the realisation the other day that I do not introduce myself whatsoever in my videos, so hi, if you're new here, I'm Georgia Ann, and the majority of the videos I do are about movies. Sometimes about music, mostly about movies, whether it's a recap or commentary or reaction videos, because if you can't tell already, I'm a big fan of them. And if that's something you're interested in, feel free to subscribe to this channel. All of my social media is in the description box of this video and all of my videos. Feel free to follow me, or if you want to. I'm gonna be honest, I think I remember that Instagram exists every 6 months. So all of my social media, including my TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, I'm missing one, my letterboxd. Now, when we are talking about Scream 3, for some reason, when people talk about the Scream movies, people will mention that Scream 3 is their least favourite. People who say that Scream 3 is a bad movie, it's not, it's just camp, and you don't get it. That's my... end of discussion. End of discussion. End of discussion. End of video. End the video right now. That's it. That's all I have to say. I think one of the biggest reasons why people do not like Scream 3, when they say, like, it's their least favourite, is that Scream 3 does retcon the original, technically. And I know people have their opinions about that, but we will get onto it when we get onto it. But in this Scream 3, it is literally one of the rules of a trilogy that is spoken about in this movie. We will get there. R.I.P. Randy. But anyway, my consensus, the first time I saw this movie, I liked it, thought it was funny. I love a camp movie, I was raised on camp films, come on now. Now, Scream 3 was released in the year 2000, which feels like it wasn't. It feels like it wasn't. It had a budget of $40 million. However, it did gross $161 million at the box office, even though people want to call this movie a flop. Yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes score of this movie, take it with a grain of salt, I'm not listening. An important point I want you all to remember, I want you to remember it until a certain point in this video where I will mention it again. This movie was produced by Miramax. Let's keep that noted. I believe all of the Wes Craven Screams movies were produced by Miramax, so I want you to keep that locked up there, okay? And the movie poster tagline for this movie: the most terrifying scream is always the last. Welcome to the final act. Because as we said, this is a trilogy. Now, the synopsis of Scream 3 is: in the final installment to this trilogy, a murdering spree begins to happen again, this time targeted towards the original Woodsboro survivors and those associated with the movie inside a movie, Stab 3. Sydney must face the demons of her past to stop the killers. As I said in my previous Scream movies, one of my favourite things about Scream movies is that they're always self-aware. They're in on the joke, they're self-aware, they poke fun at horror movie tropes, yada yada yada, you know. And I will say this, I don't know what it is, I said this in, I think, my Scream 2 video. There's something about Scream movies where, yeah, they're in on the joke. They're like, ha ha ha, they poke fun at it. When any other movie, I think when other movies try and do it, though, it comes across very cringy to me. So, Scream 3 opens with Cotton Weary driving in the car. He's on the phone. He's big time now. He has a TV show called 100% Cotton. You all know my opinions about that name. Jesus. My name is Cotton. Can I just say? As they are fighting, Cotton Weary turns up, which I still can't get over. That's his name. Who looks at a child and goes, I'm going to call you Cotton. Anyway, so he's driving. His phone rings. He answers the phone. A woman is on the end of this phone call, who immediately starts flirting with him. Because she goes, wait, I recognize your voice. Oh my god, you're Cotton Weary. Immediately starts flirting with him on the phone. Turns out it's Ghostface using a voice changer, claiming that he is at home right now watching Cotton's girlfriend, Catherine, in the shower.
Naughty boy, Cotton. Now what would your girlfriend say?
What makes you think I have a girlfriend?
I know you do. I'm right outside her bathroom door.
Who is this?
Ghostface threatens to hurt her unless Cotton tells Ghostface where Sydney Prescott is hiding. So he immediately starts rushing home to his girlfriend. His girlfriend is Catherine, played none other by Kelly Rutherford, the Gossip Girl, thank you. So she gets out of the shower and she thinks Cotton's messing about in the house because she can hear Cotton talking to her and he's pretending. He's like shouting things in the house and she thinks he's messing around. Psych, it's actually Ghostface again using Cotton's voice on the voice changer. She locks herself in a room, so now Cotton's girlfriend now thinks that Cotton has lost his damn mind and is trying to kill her because she thinks it's Cotton in the Ghostface mask trying to kill her. And apparently it's like a game they play. There's like a weird thing she says. I was like, okay. Cut to Cotton arrives home. She immediately attacks him because she thinks he just tried to kill her. Ghostface immediately sneaks up on his girlfriend, stabs Catherine to death. Kelly Rutherford is officially the first kill of this movie. Then he attacks Cotton, and the line we get from Ghostface is, "You should have told me where Sydney was." Opening credit.
It was a simple game, Cotton. You should have told me where Sydney was. Now, you lose.
And that is the opening scene to Scream 3. Now, in my opinion, when it comes to the opening scenes of Scream, it's not the best. You're not going to compare to the original. You can't outdo the doer, but it's a good tension building scene. Anywho, opening credits run. We cut to Sydney, who is living in the middle of nowhere with a dog. I believe it's a golden retriever, and she has multiple alarm systems. She has one on the gate to walk up to the house. She has one once you shut the front door. Multiple security systems, which no one is blaming her, let's be honest. She has her house locked down like Fort Knox. No one is blaming her. And she also, Sydney, works as a woman's crisis counsellor, but she does it under a fake name, obviously, because nobody knows where she is.
California Women's Crisis Counseling. Hey, it's Laura from Monterey reporting to work. Can you patch me in?
We then immediately cut to Gail. What the fuck happened to your bangs? Weather. It's that movie. She is giving a talk at a university. Mark Kincaid, yes, that is McDreamy, shows up. He's a cop. He shows up to tell Gail that Cotton Weary is dead, and a picture of a woman was left with the body. And Gail Weathers, who's always in everyone's business, she immediately recognizes the woman in the picture and says, that is a young Maureen Prescott.
This was left in Cottonware's body. You have any idea who the girl might be?
Oh my God. This is Maureen Prescott. This is Sydney Prescott's mother.
We then cut back to Sydney watching the TV in her house, and she sees the news about Cotton. We then jump to the set of Stab 3. We're in Hollywood. We're on the soundstage. The set of Stab 3 is an exact replica of Woodsboro. The studio execs are panicking about the news about Cotton, who was going to have like a surprise cameo in Stab 3, which they are currently filming. So I see the studio execs and the producers in the scene, they're running around like headless chickens because they're like, we're gonna lose all our money, what's gonna happen to the film? Then we also get one of the best lines out of this movie, which is...
Detectives, there's no reason to presume that Cotton's death had anything to do with this movie, is there?
He was making a movie called Stab. He was stabbed.
He was making a movie called Stab. He was stabbed. The only 3 cast members you recently need to know who what respective character they're playing from the original. So Tom is playing Dewey in the movie, Angelina is playing Sydney, and Jennifer Jolie is playing Gail, and Sarah Darling is playing a character that just got written in to get killed off in the first 5 seconds, and she's called Candy. So then, Gail, always in everybody's business, Weathers, appears on set, and she has a camera recording everything in her bag. Like... One thing about her, she is Inspector Gadget. Like, one thing about Gail Weathers, she's in everybody's business, but she is also Inspector Gadget. Like, it's so funny watching this. And then, out of nowhere, Dewey appears on the set. He works as a technical advisor on the set of the movie. And he's also dating Jennifer Jolie, who is playing Gail. Okay, get over her. Jesus. We then cut back to Sydney, who is at her home, and she is asleep on the sofa, and she has a dream, and it's a weird montage. It's a weird scene in this movie. Like, it did used to freak me out when I was younger, this scene did. She's asleep on her sofa in her house, and she has a nightmare of her mother walking up to her house and standing outside the window. But then her mother turns into Ghostface, and it's a creepy scene of the movie. It used to freak me out a bit when I was younger, but anyway. So we jump back to the set of Stab 3. Sarah Darling, who, as I just said, plays a character called Candy in the Stab movie, she only has 2 scenes and she dies naked. So she is not happy about the script. So she shows up for a meeting with Roman, who is the director of Stab 3, because she wants to talk about the script. She goes to Roman's office and she's waiting for him. Roman calls her and apologises for being late, but he says, I still want to run the lines with you, let's do it on the phone. They go through the script together. Roman suddenly says something that's not in her script, and she says,
Roman, it's not the line.
It is in my script.
Has there been another goddamn rewrite?
has there been another goddamn rewrite? Which is also, it's not an Easter egg per se, but it's a nod at that there were several script changes for Scream 3. You know, it's a good nod, if you knew that happened. Anyway, psych, it's actually Ghostface, who then says,
My movie.
And it's called Sarah Gets Skewered Like a Fucking Pig.
So Sarah takes off running. She hides in the costume department in a room full of Ghostface costumes on a rack. It's an incredible shot. And guess what? Ghostface is in the room already pretending to be a costume on a hanger.
Press 4. If you'd like information about Sunrise Pictures merchandise,
Come on.
press 5. If you're trying to reach live security or you have an emergency,
And then Candy. That is officially kill number 3 of Scream 3. Anyway, Dewey and Gail are also on the set, and they are talking about why their relationship didn't work the last time, and it's because Gail wanted to be the next Diane Sawyer. and have her own show. And then Dewey tells her that someone broke into the police station and tried to steal Sydney's file, but he had removed it. As in, I believe Dewey is the only person that knows where Sydney is living currently. Cut to the next scene. Dewey and Gail show up at Jennifer Jolie's house, and the security guy, who is, I believe, Jennifer's security, to make it her bodyguard, essentially, it's called Stephen, is there, and they tell them that Sarah has been killed. And then somebody then realizes that somebody is killing them in the order that they die in the movie. And then somebody then reveals that Gail's character gets killed in the next Stab 3, which is played by Jennifer Jolie, which is who Dewey's dating. Yeah, and also side note, Dewey lives in a trailer on the driveway anyway. Another picture of Maureen Prescott was left with the body. McDreamy lets Gail work with him to find the killer because he doesn't have a clue what's going on, let's be honest. He then tells Gail that there are 3 different scripts for the movie. As Candy said, has there been another goddamn rewrite? There are 3 different scripts for this movie and they don't know which script Ghostface has. So they don't know who's gonna get killed next because the scripts are different. McDreamy confronts the director Roman and tells him the reason that Candy was even in the office at the time, she was there for a meeting with you, and he claims he never spoke to her. Back at the ranch, Sydney is there, and she is working as a woman's crisis counsellor. A woman gets patched through, and she tells Sydney that she has killed someone, and she's crying, and she could barely get her words out. Sydney gets weird vibes from this phone call. She looks down at her phone, at her landline, and sees that the person that is calling her isn't calling her office number, they're calling her home number.
I'm sorry, your voice.
Don't you want to know how you can help, Laura?
The voice of the person on the phone to her is her mother, who then tells her to turn on the TV to see the news about Candy obviously being killed on the set of Stab, and then the voice then cuts back to Ghostface. So now it is pretty much confirmation to Sydney that Ghostface is back. We then cut to the entire Stab cast. Dewey and the bodyguard are all at Jennifer's house. Gail also turns up to stake out the place and see if anybody's up to something, but the bodyguard grabs her. Gail tells Dewey that she cannot find any information on Maureen for several years from when she was younger. Dewey then looks at the pictures, so they're all stood around, they're looking at the pictures. Dewey then recognises in the background of one of the pictures of Maureen.
Look at the buildings. The second story, there and there. It's the same. It's the same street 28 years ago.
Oh my God, Maureen Prescott was at the backlight at Sunrise Studios.
The bodyguard Stephen is doing rounds of the house and outside just to check that nobody's up to something dodgy. He goes into Dewey's trailer and he is on the phone to who he believes is Dewey. He tells Dewey on the phone, I'm locking in the trailer to make sure nobody attacks you when you come back here. Psych, a door kicks open, Ghostface is the one that's on the phone and he attacks him.
Hey, I'm just checking to make sure there's no killer in here waiting to off you like he did your little sister.
What did you say? I can't believe you said that. That makes me angry!
Gail and Dewey and the rest of the Stab cast are in the house. Steve, even after being attacked, walks to the front door and collapses. They're all freaking out. Ghostface then cuts the power to the entire house. They all run to the backyard and they then hear the fax machine start making noises. Ghostface is faxing them a rewrite of the movie scripts, and they all start arguing, and some of them start arguing about we need to read the script to find out who dies next. We need to. So Tom, who plays Dewey, runs back inside the house to read the end of the script.
Shit.
Whoever smells the...
And everyone else from the explosion is thrown down the hill, roll down the canyon. Jennifer runs up to Dewey and punches him for not protecting her. So Gail punches her back in the face. Another great line from this movie is Jennifer Jolie on the floor after being hit and going, "My lawyer liked." Her delivery of that line is incredible.
My lawyer liked that. Not as much as I did.
Then Dewey, then on the floor by the canyon, like where they've all rolled away from the house, but Dewey then finds another picture of Maureen on the floor, and on the back it says, "I killed her." We then cut back to the police station with McDreamy and Gail, and they are talking about how this Ghostface is now claiming to be behind the deaths of Maureen Prescott, which doesn't make sense because Billy Loomis and Stu Marker claim they were the masterminds behind that operation already. So Mark is convinced that there's a third killer that they never found out about, and he really wants to talk to Sydney about her mother. Sydney turns up at the police station. She sees the pictures of her mother that have been left at killings. She has never seen those pictures before, but she wants to go to the backlot. Sydney, Dewey and Gail arrive at the studio backlot, and Martha Meeks, the sister of Randy, appears with a VHS tape of Randy, because this isn't a Scream movie without somebody addressing the rules of a horror.
There's something you guys should see.
Told you I'd make a movie someday. Huh?
Oh my god.
I love this that they made Randy appear to talk about the rules of a trilogy. VHS form Randy Meeks comes back to us to tell us the rules of a trilogy. So this is what Randy says. Randy tells them, if it's another sequel, then it's still the same rules of the sequels will apply from Scream 2, okay? But if you are dealing with an unexpected backstory and a preponderance of exposition, then the sequel rules do not apply, because what you are dealing with is the concluding chapter of a trilogy. And according to Randy, the concluding chapter of a trilogy are all about going back to the beginning and discovering that something wasn't true from the get-go. They all reveal something true that we all thought wasn't true. So here are the 3 rules of a trilogy according to Randy Meeks. Number 1, the killer is superhuman. Stabbing won't work, shooting him won't work, you're gonna decapitate him or blow him up. Rule number 2. Rule number 2. Anybody, including the main character, can die. That's including you, Sid. Number 3. The past will always come back to bite you in the ass. Whatever you think you know about the past, forget it. So, as I said earlier, a main complaint people have about Scream 3 is that it technically retcons the original. It is said several times that's what happened in Trilogy. So after watching the VHS of Randy, they all decide to split up. Gail decides to go off to the studio archives, and Jennifer Jolie appears and decides to stay with her, hoping Ghostface, if he appears, will go for the real Gail and not the fake Gail. If he had the opportunity to kill, he'd go for the real Gail Weathers, not the fake Gail Weathers. And then we get an incredible other line delivery, and they try the door's locked, and Jennifer Jolie turns to Gail and goes, "The real Gail Weathers would find a way," and holds up a credit card, and that's how she opens the door. Incredible. And there's a woman sat at a desk in the archives who is, yes, that is Carrie Fisher.
Hey, are you...
No.
But you look just...
Like her? I've been hearing it all my life.
It's uncanny.
She was this close to getting that role in Star Wars. But the one who got it was the one who slept with George Lucas. Classic Scream. This is classic Scream. It's hilarious. They then show the picture of Maureen Prescott to Bianca, and Bianca goes, "Oh, I know what this is." Bianca takes them to one of the archive rooms, finds it, and then tells them that Maureen Prescott's stage name was Rena Reynolds. She was specifically in horror movies, and they were specifically John Milton's horror movies, who is the man who is the producer that is producing Stab 3. That's an important note to make. We then cut to Sydney is in the bathroom on the lot, and she hears somebody in the cubicle behind her while she sat at the sink. She kicks open the door and she finds Angelina, who is playing her in Stab 3. And she is stealing souvenirs from the set because she's like, well, it's going to get shut down anyway and I want something, which is like, fair enough, in my opinion, but she drops like a ghost face mask and like a fake knife. Sydney has questions. So then she leaves, and then Sydney walks out, but she somehow wanders onto the set of Stab 3, which is an exact replica of Woodsboro and her house and the Stewmarker house. She is staring at the set like it's mental, which it must be. It's clearly freaking her out to see this exact copy of one of the most horrendous things she's ever experienced. And so she goes to her bedroom, and even the inside the bedroom is an exact replica of her home. All of a sudden, Ghostface appears outside of her window. He drags her out and chases her throughout the entire set. She then gets drawn to the set of the room where her mother was M-worded, and Ghostface is pretending to be her mother under a sheet using the voice changer. It's a lot.
Give Mommy a kiss and we'll make up.
She then lands on the grass outside one of the houses in the middle of the set, and everyone appears again, including Mark Kincaid, and some of the people do not believe that she actually saw Ghostface. They don't believe that Ghostface was actually there with her. They just think she's making it up, which is weird to me. I was like, this has happened to her twice, which I don't understand why they think that's not real. But anyway, we then cut to Milton's office, the producer. He's in there talking with the director of Stab 3, Rowan. Milton tells Rowan that the movie's been scrapped, it's not happening. Dewey, Jennifer, and Gail burst into the room, and Roman leaves because he says it's his birthday. The three of them then confront Milton about Maureen Prescott, and she used to be one of his movies, and Jennifer immediately is too much into Gail Weathers' bag and says, again, one of the best quotes of this movie:
You're obsessed with her, and you're obsessed with her daughter! Right, easy, Geraldo.
They show Milton the photo of Maureen. They don't know. He says he doesn't know who she is. He does not recognize her. They push him, and then he finally cracks. And then he says he did know Maureen all those years back. And this is the scene. Remember when I said, I remember at the beginning of this video when I said, remember who I said produced this movie? Okay, keep that in mind. Milton then says he did know Maureen all those years ago. He tells them that he was known for his parties at the time, and everyone knew what they were. Girls to meet men, and if they made the right impression, they would get the right parts. For those who... Do you think that name of Miramax rings a bell? Miramax was the production company Harvey Weinstein had. So, and apparently, I read somewhere that, I believe it happened with, like, Scream 1, Scream 2, like, as I said, I believe, all of Wes Craven's Scream movies were produced by Miramax. I did read that Wes Craven did not get along with Harvey Weinstein. They did not get along, and apparently, like, he forced a lot of rewrites to happen. I don't know which movie it was. They did not get along. So a lot of people believe that that scene was intentional even back then, even though this movie came out in 2000. But a lot of people believe that this scene was written intentionally, and it somehow got under the nose of that person, that monster. We all know what that means. We all know what that scene means. We all know what it's referring to. So that is the belief that Wes Craven apparently wrote that in on purpose because he disliked Harvey so much. So we then cut back to the station, and McDreamy and Sydney are talking, and he tells her that when it comes to trilogies, all bets are off. Okay, weird thing to say. And he then tells Sydney that he was also given the case because he grew up there, I guess in LA is what they mean by that. He knows the studios like the back of his hand, and he then leaves Sydney and he goes back to the set. Which definitely is one of those scenes that is put in there to make us think like, oh, what if he's the killer? And it's such a weird thing. Especially the comment he makes about trilogies, all bets are off. It's a weird comment to make, but anyway. Gail, Dewey and Jennifer are driving back to the station, But Dewey, however, gets a call from Sydney that says she's going to John Milton's house where Roman, the director, is having his birthday party. But we all know it's clearly Ghostface. We all know that scene is clearly Ghostface because Mark left Sydney in the previous scene to go to the set. So Dewey, Jennifer, Gail all arrive at the mansion that is Milton's house. The remaining Stab cast and Roman, the director, are there. Roman and Jennifer split off to find Milton's secret screening room. That there have always been rumours that he has a secret screening room in the house where he had his lavish parties, where we all know what happened in that room from the prior scene. Anyway, Tyson and Angelina also split off to see the rest of the house because, as I said, it's a mansion. Gail and Dewey stay by the door to wait for Sydney to arrive. Dewey then uses caller ID to ring the number that rang them in the car, and a phone starts ringing in a cupboard, and a Ghostface costume and a voice changer are sat next to it. So, Gail and Dewey are immediately aware that Ghostface is at this house, and they don't know who it is, but it's one of them. So they then, for some reason, decide to split up to find everyone else. Gail finds Roman's body in the basement with Jennifer. And she's hiding in the corner. They then run into Angelina, who freaks out, and she is freaking out and revealed that she slept with Milton to get the role of Sydney. And Gail and Jennifer are just staring at her in disbelief. However, she runs directly into Ghostface, and he then kills her, so... Okay. Ghostface then corners Dewey, Tyson, Jennifer, and Gail in a bedroom. And the bedroom, one of the walls of the bedroom is completely mirrors. And Jennifer accidentally finds a secret room behind the mirrors and is trapped there because she doesn't know how to get back out. Ghostface then chases Tyson, who runs out of the room and throws him off of the balcony, and he lands next to the pool. Ghostface then finds the room that Jennifer is in behind the mirrors and kills her seconds before Dewey and Gail shoot the mirror to find her.
Do you hear something?
Get away from me, you asshole! Get away from me! You scared me!
Look, Gail! The mirror's moving!
So Gail and Dewey go back down the stairs. They're trying to wait for Sydney. They're trying to call for backup. Ghostface then sneaks up on Gail, and they fall backwards down the basement steps, knocking out Ghostface. Dewey opens the door because he realizes they're both down there. And Ghostface wakes up and throws a knife at Dewey's head from the bottom of the stairs, but it doesn't stab him in the head. The handle hits him right here, which knocks him out cold. He does a roly-poly down the stairs and is knocked unconscious. Because of course he did, it's Dewey. We then cut back to Sydney, who is still sat in the station and is not coming to this bloody mansion. And she's looking at Mark Kincaid's files, and they are all of her. There are pictures of her circled, there are newspaper articles. He's got his own file on her, which is creepy, but he also is a detective. So I was like, of course he's got a file on you. He's a detective. Anyway, Sydney gets a phone call from Ghostface, who tells her he has Dewey and Gail tied up right now. Tells her that they will survive, he won't hurt them, if she comes to him. He also then asks Sydney, do you want to know who really killed your mother? So Sydney obviously then decides she's going to go to the house to save her friend, but she also takes a gun, a tiny gun from the station. Sydney arrives at Milton's house. Ghostface tells her to use a metal detector on her, and tells her to throw the baby gun in the pool, the tiny gun that she got from Mark's office, in the pool. She walks into the house and she immediately sees that Dewey and Gail are tied to chairs in one of the living rooms. Ghostface appears, and she tries to untie them. Ghostface then appears out of nowhere. Shock has another gun and says, "It's your time to scream, asshole," and shoots him.
Think again. It's your turn to scream, asshole.
But Scream movies don't do one-liners like the Scream movies. She immediately turns around, she starts untying Doobie and Gale. When she turns back around, Ghostface's body has disappeared. Mark Kincaid appears around the corner, which is meant to be like, this might be Ghostface. And he's like, what happened here? However, Ghostface does appear again. He protects Sydney. He, however, gets stabbed by Ghostface. So Sydney then starts running around the house at full pelt because she's run out of bullets. She then she finds Milton's secret screening room that everyone was trying to find, and she hears her mother's voice again. And so she gets into the room. She locks the doors behind her because it's like vaulted. It is bolted like Fort Knox, that room is. Which is horrific when you remember what happened in there. And then she's in the room, she's like, I'm safe, because she's bolted it up like Fort Knox. However, all of a sudden she hears her mother's voice again. She turns around and Ghostface appears from behind a curtain, and he is wearing a bulletproof vest. That's why he's not dead. That's why even though she shot him, he is not dead. So, the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Ghostface reveals that Maureen Prescott is also his mother. And he found her years ago, but she wanted nothing to do with him. Ghostface is revealed as Roman Bridgers, director.
Her own son.
Roman Bridger, director.
And brother.
So he watched her and made home videos of her, and he showed those videos to Billy Loomis because his dad featured a lot in those videos, and Billy didn't like that very much, to motivate him to kill Maureen. Now, I know a lot of people have opinions because people always talk about why it's a bad killer reveal, and people always mention what Sydney's reaction to it is, and Sydney is just staring at disbelief at this man. And here's the thing, this is what people forget about this scene. Sydney is staring at disbelief and confusion when Ghostface reveals himself. It's because Sydney had never met Roman before. She doesn't know who he is. He's a random man to her. People are always like, she didn't have a clue who he was. It's like, yeah, no shit, she never met him. That's why when Roman reveals himself, he goes, director. Brother and director. However, Roman Bridges, I know people have their opinion about Roman Bridges as Ghostface. However, one thing you cannot say about Roman Bridges is that Roman Bridges is the only solo Ghostface. Everyone else is doubled up. Everyone else got duets. You know what I'm saying? I'll try and find it here, but I'll insert it now who in the other scripts was the original killer. But I'll insert it here of who the other killers were meant to be in Scream 3 in the rewrites. Roman then brings out Milton, the producer, who he has tied up and has duct tape over his mouth. He tells Sydney that he wants to frame her for everything that's happened and make it seem like she killed Milton because she found out what Milton used to do to her mother. And then we have one of the best lines, I believe. I think this is the best line of Scream 3. Roman then takes the duct tape off Milton's mouth, and Milton's panicking, and he says, "You can have anything you want. You can have anything you want. Final cut." As in, final cut of the movie. And Roman says, "I already have it." And Sly says, "Ooh, eats." Ooh, what if I say that may be the best line in Scream 3. Then we have Roman and Sydney immediately start fighting. Brother and sister, they are on the floor punching the shit out of each other. Gail and Dewey find the room that they're in, obviously, because they're beating the shit out of each other and they can hear them. The secret screening room. Gail picks the lock to the screening room to get in because it's, like, as I said, Fort Knox in there. Dewey trips the lights, so the power gets cut off. Mark, who's still alive, he has been stabbed, but he is still alive. Mark opens the door to the screening room, but he's not with Dewey and Gail. He's in a different room. He's like a different entrance to the room. Mark opens the door, limps in because he has been stabbed, and he immediately gets knocked out by Roman, who then shoots Sydney.
Lose something?
Found something.
However, when he turns back around, Sydney's body has disappeared from the floor. She jump attacks him out of nowhere and she stabs him with an ice pick from the bar and reveals that she too was wearing a bulletproof vest because she was at a police station and she had the sense to put one on. And we have another incredible line from this movie. So, she's above him. She looks at him and goes, "Stab 3, right?" And she then stabs him 2 more times, and he dies because she stabbed him 3 times. Genius writing.
I still gotta make my movie.
Step 3, right?
Gail and Dewey rush into the room to check Sydney's okay. Dewey then says offhandedly, "Wait a minute, isn't the villain meant to be a superhuman?" As he says that, Roman jumps up a la Mickey in Scream 2, and he shoots a lot of bullets into his chest, and then Sydney says shoot him in the head, and he, because he's wearing the bulletproof vest and he's not going down, a la headshot, because at this point in time pretty much every Ghostface has been shot in the head. Because pretty much every Ghostface has been shot in the head. Yes, Billy did, Stu didn't because he got a TV on his head instead, so Mickey does, no he doesn't, Mrs. Loomis does, Roman does. But anyway, Ghostface has finally gone. And then we have the final scene of this movie, where Dewey and Gail are at Sydney's house, and Dewey wants her to sign her book, The Woodsboro Murders, that started this whole thing. And she opens up the book, and there is a ring inside. So they get engaged. And then it cuts to Sydney walking up to her house, and she leaves the gate open, and she walks through the front door, and she doesn't set up the security system for the first time in her life, essentially, for the first time in years. And we also see that Mark Kincaid is also there, and they're all going to watch a movie together. And the final shot of this movie is behind her, the front door opens on its own because she didn't lock it. And she turns back around and looks at the door, and she like smiles. And turns back around and walks away. But I've seen people interpret that of like the door just opens on her own, and that's her finally being at peace and content that nothing's after her for the first time in years. But then I've also seen people interpret that scene as the front door opening up on its own is a way for the next Ghostface to make its way in. I've seen that. You know, leaving the door open for another Ghostface to enter the realm. And that is Scream 3. Now, as I said at the beginning, I know that Scream 3 is usually seen as one of the... It's lower down on the list for people for some reason. When it comes to the Scream movies. I always thought Scream 3 was one of the funnier Scream movies. And it is, because it's camp. It's camp as tits. It's a movie within a movie. Come on. I know, I think people's problem with Scream 3 is the Ghostface reveal the most, and the fact that it retcons the original. That's pretty much everyone's problem. I'm saying this right now. I am 100% going to do one of these videos on Scream 4. It is my second... Like, to me... Scream, the original Scream and Scream 4 are my favourite Scream movies. Like, it's not a 1 and 2 situation, they're both my favourites. So I personally cannot wait to do Scream 4 because I fucking love Scream 4. So yeah, keep an eye out for that Scream 4 video. It'll probably be out next week, maybe the week after. As I said earlier, I don't know if I'm going to do the other Scream movies. I think I'm only going to do 4 and then move on to a new franchise of movies to do these types of videos about. Because, as I said at the beginning of this video and every other video I've done about this, it's Wes Craven Scream movies that I love so much. So I don't think I'm going to do the other Scream movies. I'm going to do 4 and that's it. So the next franchise of movies I really want to do these types of videos of are Final Destination, because I know the new Final Destination movie's coming out this summer. I don't know if I want to do like recap videos like I've been doing with the Scream movies, or if I want to do like a live, not live, but where I actually watch the video and give live commentary, or I do more of a, like I've done with the Scream movies with like a recap situation. So I don't know which one would be more fitting for the Final Destination movie. So give your suggestions. I don't know what form is better for the Final Destination movie. So if you guys could like help me out and say in the comments down below what way you'd prefer to do Final Destination videos. Or I could just do one video with all of the Final Destination movies wrapped up in one, and then watch the newest one on this channel when it comes out in the summer. I don't know. But anyway, if you guys did like this video, please like and subscribe. Comment down below whether or not you like Scream 3. If you want to follow me on anything, it's all in the description box down below. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!